Great Debaters Contest is powered by Blaze, by Safaricom, the Youth Network.
Welcome to the Great Debaters Contest. Nakuru is where we're at, and we're ready to bring you the very best of debate. I am Mariam Bishar.
And I am Austin Yumbok. Today we have Bahati PCEA Girls versus Rongai Agritech High School. The motion is human irresponsibility is to blame for water contamination globally. Mariam, what do you think?
I think this is a tough one. Only the debaters can answer this one. Proposal number 1, you have 3 minutes to wow us.
Oh, thank you very much for this opportunity. The name is Matthew Mwangi from Rongai Boys, and I'm here to propose the motion. Human irresponsibility is to blame for water contamination globally. And we can see this through the various issues that I shall raise. First of all, human beings have strived and tried all the ways so as to increase the farming techniques so that they can produce the highest amount of food. Thus, in the methods that they use chemicals, and these chemicals, they are very harmful to our water. When it rains, these chemicals drain into our rivers, and they cause rapid water pollution. And for this, I am here to state that these chemicals are really harmful, so we should at least try, as human beings, in the problems that we carry out, in the things that we do, we should be careful, because they're bringing about water pollution. Also, the chemicals that we take about in the manufacture, there's something that occurs, what we call leaching. When they leach, they move about, and they lead to underground water pollution. The water sources in the water table, they are polluted. Therefore, it's not only water that is in the rivers and the lakes that is polluted, but it's also the water in the water tables that is also polluted. On to my second point. The waste that is produced by people in urban centers has highly increased. This is noted whereby people living in residential areas have been noted to produce at least 61% of the waste that is produced in a country. And those in other urban areas, where those who are workers in either buildings or they are just social workers, they produce approximately 21% of waste that has been noted. Another thing is increase in demand and use of water for industries and homes has brought about an increase in the pollution that is there. This is whereby the industries, they take in a lot of water to produce their goods, but the waste that they produce, they all put it in the rivers, causing water pollution. Therefore, I would kindly ask that we, as the proposers, in the motion that we are proposing, that we take keen in whatever we are doing, because we as human beings are causing a lot of problems to our environment. Another thing, we as Kenya, we are not left behind, because our rivers, we are polluting them. And a good example is the Kirio River, which is polluted, was being polluted by the Pan-African paper industry, which was closed down. But the government is taking part and assisting this company, using the Reply company to start it again. Therefore, when it is started again, it will bring about pollution, which will affect us all. Another river is the River Nyando, which drains into the Lake Victoria. It has been polluted by the Chemilil Sugar Company, which drains its molasses there. Therefore, it has polluted it seriously. And another thing is, in the Asian countries, it was noted that asbestos is a cheap and readily available roofing material. But what the Syrians did not know is that when they use this material, it would affect the human beings. And after they found out, they took it to their factories, and after that, they dumped it into the Mediterranean Sea, which caused real water pollution. So please, kindly, listen to what we have to say, and listen to us all carefully. Thank you.
We're ready to hear the opposition's opening statements. You have 3 minutes.
Don't you think you're putting a heavy burden on humans, blaming them on water pollution, yet nature is to blame for the contamination? I'm here to oppose the motion that human responsibility is not to blame for water contamination globally. I present to you nature that is uncontrollable by man, that like volcanic activities that occur naturally. They're not imposed by man, and they pollute the environment. When volcanoes erupt, they produce sulfur, which is readily soluble in rainwater that falls back as rain acid, and this pollutes our water. Soil erosion occurs equally to how soil is formed. This shows us that as soil is being formed, more of its sediments are taken to our rivers through windstorms, through floods, through and through water, and thus contaminating the water. I'm here to say that it's not because of the carelessness of man, but what nature offers to us that pollutes the environment. Volcanic activities, landslides, erosion are the major pollutants of water in this country and globally, because erosions occur globally in this country, in Asia, in many continents. This is a natural thing. Thank you.
Okay, we're ready to hear rebuttals now. We'll begin with the proposition. You have 3 minutes.
My name is Ignatius Kioy, and I'm here to represent my school, Rongai Boys, as I propose a motion that human irresponsibility is to blame for the contamination of water in our earth today. And before I begin, first of all, I'd like to ask the antagonist. They said that volcanic activities are responsible for contaminating the water. But I'd like to ask her that, which volcanic activity did she ever hear of that dumped asbestos or lead or any other damaging chemical in the oceans or the rivers? This is the work of humans. She also blamed Mother Nature. Why do we call her Mother Nature? First of all, she's given the attribute of being a mother. And all of us know that a mother is kind, loving, and will never do anything to hurt her children. But she comes here, stands in front of us, and tells us that Mother Nature can harm us. This is unbelievable. She also talked about landslides. I would like to ask her, doesn't she know that these days the government has ensured that they have built gabions in every place that it is possible to get a landslide? Getting a landslide or soil erosion nowadays is almost minimal. It's something that happened a long time ago, but you cannot blame the contamination we see today on landslides because they stopped and the soil erosion. But however, we shall not dwell on that. I'm here to prove to you that humans alone are to blame for the dirt we see in our rivers and our water bodies. First of all, for those who come from Nairobi, you can attest to this, that Nairobi River can no longer be called a river. Right now, it's just a mere trickle of sewage trickling its way towards Indian Ocean. It is dirty, it cannot be used, and it is harmful to everyone. But you cannot blame anyone. It is only us and us alone who did that. And I will tell you how. One of my points is war. That's right, war contaminates water. For those who have been following world news, you'll know that North Korea has actually tested 3 nuclear warheads this year. These nuclear warheads dump radioactive material in the oceans. 2 dropped in the Pacific Ocean, and that ocean is shared by more than 50 countries. And they dropped 1 more in the Sea of Japan. This dropped radioactive material in the water. Who will drink water that he knows has radioactive material? Not me. And I know none of you here will be ready to chug down that cup of water that he knows has radioactive material. My other point is the offshore oil rigs. In 2002, an oil rig in Mexico leaked an estimated of 200 barrels of oil into the Gulf of Mexico. Can you imagine the damage that this had on the ecosystem of that area? That damage, that mistake, that irresponsibility, that carelessness took 2 years to recover from. 2 whole years, and that's using a lot of finance. That was a mistake that is evident. Who will you blame for that oil leakage? Will you blame the landslide, or will you blame the glacier that she talked of? No, you blame the humans. They alone are the ones who did this. And my third and final point. Actually, a conclusion of a report that was done in 2001 about how developing countries, in their quest to be developed, will do anything and they will contaminate water without regard. Kenya is not an exception. Kenya, if you visit Nairobi, we dump chemicals into the river, heavy metals like lead and mercury. But I will leave on there. Please, you can believe me when I say that only humans are to blame for this mistake that we are seeing right now. Thank you, everyone.
Opposition, you have 3 minutes for your rebuttal.
First of all, I'd like to answer your question on landslide. Also, earthquakes trigger landslides, and landslides cause water contamination. Caroline Nyambura from Bahati PCEA, here to strongly oppose the motion that states human irresponsibility is to blame for water contamination globally. On to my first point, siltation. During river deposition, a lot of load being transported is deposited in water bodies. This causes water contamination. The same water is brought into our houses for domestic use, and we also drink it. So we take contaminated water due to siltation. To my second point, decomposition of organisms. During migration of wild beasts, either from the Serengeti in Tanzania to Masai Mara in Kenya, or from Masai Mara to the Serengeti, they pass through Mara River. It is invaded with crocodiles. And if any of the wildebeest die in the river, they decompose. If the wildebeest decompose in the water, they contaminate water. Residents near the Mara River take the water, and it is contaminated. Thank you.
The audience has some very tough questions for these two teams. The proposers have been asked to give alternative ways to dispose of industrial waste, because if we use land as a disposal site, we still pollute land. And of course, the opposition have been asked between natural method causes of water pollution and human causes of water pollution, which one is more long-term, and of course to differentiate between those two causes. We'll have them respond to those questions now. Third proposer, you have 3 minutes.
Abel Kipto, the Rongai Agricultural and Technical High School. A question was posed to our side, and he asked, where else can we dispose of the waste? A country like USA treats their waste. There is something we call waste treatment, the one who asked that question. Waste treatment. Rather than dispose it to water bodies, rather than dispose it to water sources or to the environment, we can treat the waste. So, obviously, it is human irresponsibility that they dispose the waste to water bodies and contaminate the water. I hope I've got you right. I think we should all agree that once water is contaminated, life is contaminated. Once water is exhausted, civilization is exhausted. And once water disappears, human beings disappear. Protecting water resource is protecting the human being. Number one, we are looking forward to sustainable development goals. The first thing that you need to agree to is that we humans are the cause of water contamination. How many deaths will we keep on hearing? How many diseases will we keep on hearing of water being contaminated and killing our people, innocent lives? Yet humans are to blame. Yet the opposers here are trying to tell us that we are not on the blame. They're trying to blame it on nature. Number one, we need to accept that it is our irresponsibility. We need to accept that it is our fault that water is contaminated in order for us to achieve sustainable goal development, in order for us to develop. Then, Rift Valley, I can give an example of Lake Elementaita. A study, or rather a research, was carried out, and the fluoride levels in water was found to be 30 milligram to 50 milligram per liter. The groundwater. How does that water get contaminated? How does it? Number one, we know of pesticides, fertilizers. They are leached because it is directly humans' fault. You don't tell me that nature can automatically place fertilizers in the soil. It cannot. Can it? It can't. Number one, it's humans who are to blame for the fertilizers which were in the salt, and hence it leached into the groundwater. And no wonder nowadays we see many decolorized teeth. That is a condition known as fluorosis. Humans are to blame for fluorosis. Humans are to blame for the diarrheal sicknesses in children. Also, a report by economists was carried out in 2008 in China. A report by economists. And it was noted that 1,000 children die on a daily basis because of diarrheal sicknesses. Will we keep on hearing of these deaths? Will we keep on hearing of these sicknesses? So, let me tell you, we need to accept our mistake. We need to find a way to correct our mistakes, and number one is by accepting it and proposing the motion that human irresponsibility is indeed to blame for water contamination globally. Thank you.
Opposition, you have 3 minutes to respond to the audience.
First, I'd like to take this opportunity to answer the question that was posted to us on human causes and natural causes. Which one is more lasting? I'll go by the natural side. Because one thing I appreciate about what God gave us as human beings is the divine nature of understanding what is good and what is bad. And I believe as a human thing, the moment you realize that something is going to harm you, you can take the best control measures to prevent it. So I think we can control human beings, but we cannot control nature. It is beyond our power. On to my point, I'll go with the natural calamities. Something like flood. We are blaming so much on human beings for contaminating the water. But let me tell you, if I can see a lorry is coming and I'm on the way, I'll move. Nobody will would allow herself to contribute in contamination of water because she knows that at the end of the day, she might or he might require that water. So I think flood is something that occurs unexpectedly. Nobody expects that it's going to rain and floods are going to flow all over. So I think it's a matter of what happens. It's not a matter of what human beings really want to happen. My second point is on eutrophication. Eutrophication is the enrichment of water bodies by nutrients. These nutrients, when they increase in water, they cause algal bloom or rapid growth of water plants. This leads to deoxygenation in water. What happens when the aquatic animals, they lack oxygen? Some of them suffocate. As a result, they die. What happens to the dead animals? They decay, they decompose, leading to microorganisms. This affects the water that we go and consume. Think about it. Join us. It's not a matter of our wants. It's what the nature has brought to us, and we can't do anything about it. The blame on human beings is too much.
We'll hear final submissions. Proposition, you have 1 minute.
Ignatius Kioy, and I'm back for the final remarks. Okay, when God created the world, he gave us the divine order to go forth, take care of the earth, and to spread all over it. But there's nowhere he's told us to contaminate it or to dirtify it. There's nowhere he told us, go misuse what I've given you. But now, one day God will judge us and ask us, who dirtified Nairobi River? Who made this water dirty? Or who dumped asbestos in the oceans? But the opposers here are telling us that we shall tell God, no, it was not us. It was your volcanoes, or it was your glaciers. Can you imagine that irony? When I was growing up, my mother told me that it is only after you've taken consequences of your mistakes, that's the only time you will move on. That is the only time you will learn. But now, if we keep on blaming others for our mistakes, we will never move forward. But I want to assure you that every day, the fight to conserve our water will continue. But unfortunately, every day, one errant member of the society will dump his waste in the river, then point at his mess and say that, no, it was not me who did that. It was a volcano. Thank you.
Opposers, you also have 1 minute for your final submission.
Thank you. I think it's time that we all change this motion. We say that human irresponsibility is totally not to blame for water contamination because we are talking globally. we are not concentrating on Kenya only. Countries, the developed countries, they've taken measure and these things are working. Why? Because human beings can be controlled. Let us not focus on what those people who are yet learning. We are in the process of learning. The government, for instance, in Kenya, the government is taking measures to control water pollution, water contamination also, like introduction of septic tanks. Those are measures that are taken, proper disposal. Not everyone is going nowadays disposing waste everywhere. Because you've learned, I'd like to please ask you to conquer with us. Let us not blame human things. What kind of a future do we want the next generation to say? That our forefathers contaminated our water because of a title that was just said? No. We need a better reputation. Thank you.
Rongai boys, Matthias Mwangi, you gave a very good introduction. Though you need to bring out the definition of the terms clearly, you also had good points. But you need to work on the support of your points. It's on the evidence, on the facts. Ignatius, you're a very strong speaker, very confident, relaxed on stage. You had very good and clear points. Examples were given, that was good. You also engaged the audience through the rhetoric questions. That was well done. Abel, you're equally a good speaker, though I felt that you need to be more natural. Yeah, your points were good. You also did not make it clear during the answering of the questions, Abel. You did not make it clear how waste can be treated. So you needed to elaborate on that.
The girls from Bahati, you've done a very good job. But then again, time. Issues to do with time. Make full use of the time you're allocated. It is very important to do that. Very good mastery of language. Caroline, keep that up. I think you're up to speed as far as language is concerned. That is very good work.
Bahati PCEA girls, the judges awarded you with 56%. Please give them a round of applause. Rongai Agritech High School, the judges saw it fit to award you 67%. You're our winners for the debate.
Of course, congratulations to the gentlemen for taking the day and to both teams for a very good job. Keep watching, follow us on Twitter and give us your feedback at Great Debaters EA. It's been a pleasure hosting. I'm Mariam Bishar.
And I am Austin Nyumbok. Thanks for watching.
The Great Debaters Contest is powered by Blaze, by Safaricom, the Youth Network.